Avatar: The Last Airbender's finale is probably one of the greatest conclusions I've ever seen to a television series. The writing not only wraps up the plot in a satisfying way but is emotionally engaging, the animation with all of the giant bending battles looks gorgeous, and all of the sounds from voice acting to music to sound effects perfectly bring the action to life. Sozin's Comet follows three main plot lines: Sokka, Toph, and Suki's attack on the Fire Nation airships, the final Agni Kai between Zuko and Azula, and the battle to end all battles between Aang and Ozai. While each plotline is incredible in its own way, my personal favorite will always be the final Agni Kai. Let's walk through this emotional battle between Zuko, Azula, and Katara so we can determine why the final Agni Kai is the best part of Sozin's Comet. The Agni Kai technically starts when Zuko interrupts Azula's coronation, but I think it's important to quickly cover the events leading up to this moment and why Azula's mental state is collapsing in on itself. Ozai made sure to train Azula to only act in his interests and gain his approval so that she could be his human weapon. That was all Azula lived for, to make Ozai proud as the unstoppable Fire Nation princess who would do anything to spread the glory of her nation. We all know that Zuko lived this way for a while too. I mean, he wouldn't let us forget it.
Honor, honor, honor. Honor.
But Ozai's banishment of his son came back to bite him when it gave Iroh the opportunity to show Zuko the truth. Azula shows us what would have happened if Zuko didn't have an Iroh, and as you'd probably guess, the results are catastrophic. Azula has already been losing her power as Team Avatar gains more victories, inspiring others to stand up to the Fire Nation along the way. I would say that Mai and Ty Lee's betrayal of Azula was the beginning of the end for her, as she references their treachery during her breakdown in the palace over and over again, showing that she still hasn't gotten over it. That in itself creates a whole other mental problem for Azula. She's never let her emotions get the better of her like this, and this causes her to feel even more frustrated and vulnerable during the situation. But the main problem facing Azula is Ozai's disapproval. Ozai has no use for Azula anymore, so he shoves her off to the side and gives her the title of Fire Lord in the hopes that it'll keep her happy. And this is why Azula snapped. Her sole purpose, the thing that she has sacrificed everything for, is gone in an instant, and no one else even seems to care, because for Azula, if Ozai doesn't think she's worthy, then she's worthless. Mai and Ty Lee turning their backs on her was bad enough, but her own father admitting that she means nothing to him destroys any foundation she's built her life on. I think this is partly why Azula sees Ursa specifically during her hallucination. I think now part of her is realizing that Ursa was the only one who actually cared for her children, but unfortunately, this realization is only salt in the wound, as Azula remembers how Ursa favored Zuko and thought she was just a monster. And that is just one more reason for Azula to want Zuko dead. With that in mind, let's get into the Agni Kai itself. Even when Azula is about to get one moment of minor victory with her crowning as the Fire Lord, Zuko interrupts the whole thing, cementing his status in Azula's mind as another enemy she needs to eliminate. Azula is already feeling insecure that Ozai views her as no better than Zuko, so for her, an Agni Kai would be the perfect opportunity to prove her superiority. Zuko accepts because
There's something off about her. I can't explain it, but she's slipping.
I kinda wish Katara had said something like, "Oh really? I didn't notice," in this moment because like, come on Zuko. Now it's time for the climactic confrontation, and we get this exchange which really sets the tone for the battle.
I'm sorry it has to end this way, brother.
No, you're not.
Zuko has finally seen through his family's lies, but Azula is still trapped under Ozai's control. The first attacks are thrown, but instead of intense, heroic battle music, the scene is instead scored with mournful violin chords and hints of percussion every now and then. And I love that they played the battle this way. The show gives us the chance to step back and really see this fight for what it is. Not a glorious battle between good and evil, but a tragedy of two siblings who should be standing by each other's side, but are torn apart by the cruelty of their father. The dampened sound effects and somber music allow us to reflect on the immense damage that abusive parenting has done to these two children. This is also some of the most beautiful bending in the show in my opinion. You can feel the burning heat of these massive waves of fire just from the animation alone. Zuko and Azula continue their battle, and to Azula's horror, her brother is meeting her skill level for the first time. We see Azula gasping for air after a series of attacks while Zuko stays firm, and we all know this is because he listened to Iroh's advice. Azula is still relying on only her rage to fuel her firebending power, and is left vulnerable as a result. Zuko sees this moment of weakness and fires. And I don't know why, but something about this moment in particular is just so terrifying. We know Azula and Zuko have been fighting with the intention of killing each other this whole time, yet there's just something about Azula standing there, exhausted and gasping for air, and instead of helping his sister in her weakness, Zuko uses it to finish her off. I'm not trying to knock Azula or Zuko here. I think there's just something especially sad about two siblings being forced to exploit each other's weaknesses rather than help each other through them. Azula and Zuko continue their fight with some incredibly impressive and exciting choreography. We're then brought back into the action as Zuko taunts Azula.
No lightning today? What's the matter? Afraid I'll redirect it?
I'll show you lightning!
You figure he'd know by now not to taunt Azula. Still, there's some cruel irony in this exchange, because even though Azula responds to his taunt with pride, refusing to show any weakness around him, what Zuko said turns out to be true. Azula knows Zuko will redirect her lightning and defeat her, so she cheats and shoots it at Katara instead. Zuko, of course, is too caring to let Katara get hurt by Azula, and so he takes the hit for her. Katara tries to help Zuko, but only attracts the rage of Azula in the process. Now that she's been given an edge, Azula becomes mad with power, throwing every attack she has at Katara. Again, the animation and choreography of these fights continues to be absolutely amazing. Katara's in a tight spot, since she's been caught off guard and is now having to face the most powerful firebender in the world. But, in a very clever solution by the writers, Katara lures Azula above the sewer grate and uses the water inside to trap them both. We hold our breath as Katara enacts her plan before the tension is finally relieved and she claims victory. Katara rushes over to heal Zuko in a very sweet moment that shows how they refuse to let the conflict between their nations separate them.
Thank you, Katara.
I think I'm the one who should be thanking you.
And all the Zutara shippers cried. Unfortunately, it's hard to enjoy this victory when you realize how detrimental it truly was to Azula. The next scene feels strikingly dark and heavy for a Nickelodeon show, but I really respect the creators for treating their audience with maturity, and not shying away from the moral complexities of this moment. With a heartbreaking performance from Grey Griffin, we watch as Azula can do nothing but writhe in pain, as every sense of purpose she has built her life around is ripped away from her. Zuko looks on with a solemn expression as Katara averts her eyes in sorrow, with nothing but Azula sobbing in the background. There's no boasting of victory or ham-fisted redemption through the power of love. It's just a very solemn, mature moment that perfectly communicates the tragedy of Azula. And to me, this is what makes the final Agni Kai so impactful. Aang's battle with Ozai is certainly exciting and a powerful ending to the show, but the conflict just doesn't feel as personal and intimate as the one between Azula and Zuko. And I think everyone has quietly agreed that the adventure on the airships with Sokka, Toph, and Suki is the weakest part of the finale. It's still super well done and exciting to watch, but compared to the other parts, it's mostly just fun action. The final Agni Kai truly is the greatest plotline of Sozin's Comet.